Ready? Take questions for Steve Coop?
Okay, well, Coach, you guys have been going at it more than a week. I know you're getting ready for your first scrimmage coming up. How would you kind of evaluate things after the first week and a half?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, the guys are really working hard. We're making progress. So, yeah, things are in a better spot than when we first started, for sure.
What's the tempo? I mean, what's some of the things that stood out to you? I know you were working on some tempo, obviously, with the way the offense is going to be geared. How's that been going with some of the younger guys, and so maybe how's everyone been able to adjust to that? I guess?
Yeah, the tempo's been good. You know, just the general organization of practice and what we expect the guys in tempo to play is obviously a lot better than when we were in the spring. And we work the fast plays, the tempo every day, just to make sure that's grooved. But there's other layers to it too.
How would you characterize the quarterback battle at this point?
Yeah, good question. So we get an opportunity to play more situational football here coming up very soon. I guess that'd be tomorrow. So we'll get a better idea of where those guys are at right now. Like the big thing that we're really trying to see is which guy is going to be able to execute the call in and out of the huddle, operating the tempo, chemistry with the receivers and the tight ends and the running backs. And right now all those guys are actually doing a really good job, making a lot of progress.
How are you balancing the reps with first team, second team, third team?
Yeah, it's pretty mixed across the board. We're starting to get closer than when we were in the spring, and it was obviously open competition as we came into camp, but here we are. I guess this is almost 2 weeks fully in camp, and things are starting to figure themselves out, but we will know a whole lot more after our first scrimmage.
We knew his Cam Fancher wasn't throwing in the stuff we got this all. Are you just kind of resting his arm, or what's his status?
Yeah, Cam's the older guy, so early in practice we try to do some stuff that helps those guys out. Occasionally we'll do that for each position group, depending on what the day is and what each guys need.
Do you feel like you're getting closer to having a set five as far as the offensive line is concerned?
The good news there's a handful of guys that can all operate, and the big thing with the offensive line outside of toughness, playing at full speed and being physical, would be the depth. And Coach Clark has done a tremendous job of bringing some of these guys that I guess you would say are unproven along, and they understand the scheme, and there's a set group there. Certain guys go in, and I'm not worried that they're not going to know what to do. And the depth there is a lot better than it was in the spring, for sure.
What's the tight end room look like? I mean, you obviously have some guys that got some experience coming back, but you brought in some new guys. How's that maybe shaped out so far in the first week and a half?
Yeah, another great question. Competition brings out the best in most of us, right? So the competition there is really good, but that's a really close room, and each guy kind of brings a different skill set for specific things. So there's competition. Everyone's fighting to get those balls where they know they're going to be the premium target. But they've done a really nice job across the board. Everyone's coming along and they're working hard. Now here we are in the dog days of camp. Things get tough. And we talk a lot about being all day tough in that position group specifically because they got to do a lot of stuff, right? It's the run game, it's the pass game, it's protection, it's a little bit of everything. And they're all coming along, but certainly each guy has its own skill set.
Kylan Fox, how kind of camp has he had? He's a guy that was here last season, so I know we and everyone's more familiar with him. So what have you seen from Kylan? How is he going to help you guys this year?
The great thing about Kylan is he's very he's interested in all layers of the game, offense and defense, so he asks a lot of really good questions. He studies really hard in the playbook like all the other tight ends do. So he's a guy that played receiver in high school, and this is really his first full year playing tight end, so he's developing. And just like all these guys, we got stuff that we need to work on, but there's definitely a skill set there.
How was former UCF men's basketball player Debo Coleman making the transition?
Yeah, also probably the most improved player, I would guess, on the offense and the last week and a half. And you can imagine why he hasn't played football since high school, but he certainly has some skills and some tools that we're working to refine. And listen, just as it goes for the entire offense, we got a long way to go. And relatively short time to get there, but very pleased with the progress that he's made in a very short amount of time.
Have you had situations like that during your career?
Yeah, sure. So, my first year full-time position coach back in 2010 was coaching a kid named Julius Thomas off the basketball court back at Portland State, and it worked out pretty good.
What are the talents, though, that Debo shows? Being a basketball guy all of his life. I know he played football in high school, but what do you see on the field? How does that translate to football?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the first one is when you see the guy walk in the room and say, okay, that looks like a tight end. And he's not a scared kid. He is not afraid to be physical. We're just trying to hone in on some of the details of the fundamentals. The other layer is he's got pretty good hands. He's got soft hands. And, he's like a baby deer sometimes, and he would admit that, but he's making progress. And we're excited about seeing what we can get done with him in the next couple of weeks. And, yeah, it's a long season, so it's good to have depth for sure.
You said you would know, or back on report day, you said you would know early on about certain stuff with basketball players transitioning. What did you end up seeing down the workout about a weekend at camp?
Yeah, that's a good point. Really, the two things you're looking for is he physical enough to play the game of football? Okay, one, and yeah, I mean, if you can't play on offense if you're not, and he's getting reps. So I think that maybe answers that. And then the second layer to it is, as a skill position, you got to be able to catch the football. And Debo shows the ability to do that, just like the rest of the tight ends.
Dylan Wade played a lot at his previous school. I know he's going to be, I'm assuming he's in the primary mix. Just tell us more about, Dylan and kind of what kind of camp he's been having.
All day tough. Yeah, physical kid.
Well, how does that show on the field though? Like, is that? Can you elaborate a little bit more? I guess.
Sure. Yeah. He is willing to do things and go to that dark place, and we're trying to make that more consistent with everyone in the room, and he's illustrated that so far. Now, he's not perfect, just like I'm not perfect, just like nobody else. We got a long way to go, but that's been good. Running the routes, he can catch the football. I mean, the guy's, I think it's like 22 pounds heavier than when he got here, so he's doing the things that it takes to play the position of tight end, and we're excited to see how he develops the next couple of weeks.
What's your emphasis on blocking with Kylan and Dylan?
Yeah, both of them, that's not something that they were specifically asked to do a lot in previous stops. And, as we mentioned for Colin, he was more of a wide receiver in high school. So those things don't just happen overnight. I mean, listen, Coach Clark gets to work with the offensive line for 2 hours a day on the base fundamental, which is blocking. Tight ends are doing a lot of other stuff. They're catching passes, they're playing special teams. So, those reps are going to add up. And they certainly have shown that they're going to add up because we're a long ways away from where we started.
Is Max Drag, is he your blocking tight end? Or I know he's a new addition to this summer, wasn't here in spring. So what kind of role do you see Max having in your room?
Yeah, I wouldn't put, like I mentioned earlier, these guys have different skill sets, but we're not ready to label a guy as this is a pass catching tight end, this is a run blocking tight end. Those are generally going to be the things that you guys say. We have guys that have specific skills that are better than others, and they're working on those other things. Max is doing a great job, tremendous add, glad he's here.
Back on the quarterbacks, what are you seeing from Jakuri that you've liked so far this camp?
JB's put a lot of work in, and in relationship to that room, it's kind of the universal theme that those guys have put time in the summer. Obviously working on the leadership stuff, but what he's shown is obviously there's certain things that he can do with the football in his hands. And, when he pulls down the ball and he has some room to run, that's a really good thing. And then he's obviously making progress in other areas, getting through progressions and that kind of thing. But he's got leadership traits, just like the rest of the quarterbacks, that's really enjoyable to be around. Fun kid to be around, for
What
sure.
more do you want to say?
Just consistency. And I don't want to say that's specific to any one player either. That's really
I
what
can
we're
ask
asking.
about the others.
Yeah. It's really what we're looking for is consistency. And I think that what we did was really smart, is paying off, because competition, like I said, that's going to bring out the best in most of us. And those three guys just happen to be the guys that you would want to be in competition with, because the iron sharpens iron with that group.
Are you open to multiple quarterbacks as the season starts?
That's a great question maybe to ask Coach Frost after the scrimmage. We got a little bit of ways to go. I'm never turning down anything. I don't think that there's a right or wrong way to handle those things, as long as there's an expectation and you stay with that expectation. What's the standard? There's all sorts of things that you can label as, hey, the quarterback has to be the leader has to be the quarterback. For us right now, we're really excited to see what the scrimmage looks like here tomorrow.
How is the tight end utilized in a Scott Frost offense? What are you getting the guys ready for this season?
Yeah, I think the other cool thing, so that's a good question. How do we utilize the tight end in this offense? It's a lot like all the other positions. The more you can do, the more you're going to play, right? We talk about the tight end specifically having traits and strengths in certain areas. The more you can do, the more things that we can fit you into. But yeah, our tight end's got to be able to block, and they got to be able to run routes and catch passes. So there's not like one specific thing. But on top of that, if you can play at tempo and you can make decisions, because there's always going to be a decision to be made, if you can make decisions in real time and have the adaptability and dexterity to be able to do that, then you can play tight end. And I know that's not specific to the tight end position, but it's true. That's for every spot that we have. Obviously, the tight end is going to block a little bit more in line than the wide receiver. And the wide receiver might be in a pass a lot more than the tight ends in relationship to third down. But we need the tight ends to be able to do multiple things.
What are
Coach,
you
I know we
looking
talk
for?
about Debo, but we had another player come over from the hardcore too with Dominic Campbell. I know he played a bit of tight end in his time, but he's an offensive lineman now. So just what did you see from him early on in camp, and how do you kind of make the determination of putting him at O-line?
Yeah, and just to be really fair, the offensive line position for a guy that's been playing basketball is a whole different layer of difficulty in relationship to tight end. And believe me when I say this, it is not easy to come off the hardwood and just play tight end. So you got to kind of times that by 10 when it goes to the offensive line position. So Dom is doing a tremendous job of picking up our language and our systems. He has a little bit of time, and excited to see where he develops in the future. But he's doing a great job.
What are you specifically looking forward to for scrimmage tomorrow? I mean, what do you expect to take out of that first one? What do you think you guys will be able to learn from it maybe moving forward?
Yeah, that's really good. We have spent a lot more time than we did in the spring with situational football, because that's what the game's going to come down to, right? It's going to be the base fundamentals, blocking and tackling, running to and with the football, and we get to see that every day in practice. We also get to see situations when we script them. So now when we get into a real live football situation, which is our first scrimmage, those are going to just show up organically. Now we'll try and script some things up to where we can lead the situation the way we want it. But what I'm excited to see is our guys operate in those situations that come up without it being on the script, without the coach being in the meeting room telling them like, hey, you can expect third down or you can expect red zone. And then can we execute through those things? So that's going to be exciting. And I should probably back up, open with this. You just got to make plays. And that's what we're looking to see. We're at the point right now at camp where, okay, everyone generally has an idea or knows what to do. And we install every day. We don't baby these guys. We give them a full and real install, because the more you can do, that's going to help our team. But tomorrow when we scrimmage, now let's go make plays. Okay, it's not always going to be perfect. Can we play through the noise?
At wide receiver, are you starting to see guys separate themselves and emerge and take leadership positions there?
I'd say there's a handful of guys that consistently make plays, but there's also some inconsistency that needs to get dialed in, right? We got to keep the balls off the ground. We talk about it all the time when we're doing routes on air. It should be 100% completion percentage. Should be dang near 100% completion percentage in 7-on-7. There's no pass rush. And to be honest with you, that's the most important thing as a wide receiver outside of the base fundamentals of blocking, of catching the football. And that's not just the wide receivers, that's the running backs, that's the tight ends. So part of that has a lot to do with playing multiple guys, and I don't think we're any different than anyone else in the country. You're repping, your ones, your twos, and your threes. And I think after the scrimmage, we'll have a lot better idea of what that rotation might look like. And then I'll back up and tell you this, it's a long season. There's certain guys that are going to get more reps in the first game, and then who knows what will happen game 2 and game 3. Some of that has to do with attrition. Some of that might have to do with the defense that we're seeing and guys using their skill sets to attack it.
Is that inconsistency consistent with where you are at this point in camp?
Yeah, I think that the inconsistency that you brought up, that wasn't what I said. I think the inconsistency would be a lot more to do with it being practice 8 and not having a scrimmage under our belt yet. I'm very excited where this offense is right now. Obviously, we're tremendously further ahead than we were in the spring, but we still got a long way to go. And I think the guys would admit that, and they would say that.
One question in the back here.
Coach, a key point that a lot of people have spoken on, whether it's Taven, whether it's Coach Frost, is that UCF's playing with a chip on their shoulder this year. How does that kind of translate? How do you see that with the team so far?
Yeah, I don't think you can play the game of football without a chip on your shoulder. That's what it is. And I'm excited about where we are at because we have a tight locker room. I think there's guys behind you right now that really do a good job of bringing it every day and building good relationships with not just their position group but others. Saw that in the summer. We came back and it was a little bit different life. Now I get it, man. There's a glow in every college football locker room right now, right? Everyone's 0-0, but I'm really excited about coming to work every day to work with these guys because we got good people that work hard and they want to win. And I think that's something that that's really just kind of building up.
Have you guys started talking about or thinking about how you're going to split the snaps between Miles Montgomery and Jaden Nixon?
It's a good problem to have when you got two, really good backs. Again, they obviously all do different things. We're going to make sure that those guys are involved.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Players out there.